Okay, this is my video about Plain Jane. Oh, and he's got a natural penis. Okay, so I actually wrote a 6,000 word essay, and then I started filming like a video, and then I realized I hated it. It was really bad. So here it is now. Hi, I'm John Marx. Are you gay? Hi, gay. Are you chronically online? Do you think you're better than other people? Then you're gonna love this video. I love narcissism, so strap in. Do you know Plain Jane? I feel like I feel like the majority of the people who watch my channel are LGB and or T, and because of that, you probably understand who Plain Jane is. If you don't, she's a drag queen. She was on season 16 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and the first time this is gonna be okay, let me take that back. I didn't explain what I'm doing. I'm psychoanalyzing her. I'm gonna break it down into just two separate things. Basically, the first part of the video, I'm gonna talk about why were people upset with her, and in the second part of the video, I'm gonna talk about why I think she was, a cunt. Pretty much, I would let Gemma know. And I'm not gonna shy away from the fact that, like, I love Plain Jane. Like, legitimately, I really enjoy her as an artist, but she's also, mean.
Fasten your seatbelts, because this plane always goes down. Oh.
Anyway, the first time I saw her was on should I have a light on? I think that might be good. Like, I have this light right with my boyfriend's like ring light that his mom bought him. But like, did that do anything? I think I look worse. I don't know. But yeah, the first time I saw Plain Jane was in her Meet the Queens video, which was prior to season 16, the one she was on, which she looked like this.
I've always really been into airplanes. I also really relate to Jane from Tarzan. I'm also into very musky, stinky jungle men. So I just put the two together.
And I find that very funny. She just kind of like ad-libs generic, shady, and nonsensical, absurdist things together.
When the audience watches season 16, they're gonna think, wow.
And I find it hilarious. But basically, like, I had a friend in college when this was coming out, and Plain went against Katya. And if you don't know Katya, Katya is like the most beloved queen on the Drag Race franchise. And Katya pretends to be Russian because she likes, and then Plain said,
there may have been some misconceptions with my fellow alumnus, Katya, but she appropriates my culture. She's not actually Russian, and it's jarring and offensive to my eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, and stomach, what she does.
Which, again, to me, this is clear satire. Okay, Miss Buff. Damn. To me, it's just satire. Plain was just, like, being funny because that's just who she is. But a lot of people didn't take it well.
That at one of your, like, live Bald and Beautiful tapings, I was, like, booed or something.
One of them. Several.
Several.
Yes, several.
What's wrong with your fan base?
Well, they
fat broads and horse-faced lesbians.
My friend in college, she was like, I saw this girl, she talked about Katya, and she said she was so mean and so pretentious. And I was like, this was a joke. I don't know. I don't think that people really understood her humor. But okay, but I do want to say this. I think there's sometimes people, they make an argument that like just because it's a joke or just because it's humor, it excuses them from bigotry. And I don't agree with that. Example, you know Schrodinger's cat? There's this thing called Schrodinger's douchebag. I'm reading this from Urban Dictionary. One who makes douchebag statements, particularly sexist, racist, or otherwise bigoted ones, then decides whether they were just joking or dead serious based on whether other people in the group approve or not. And I bring that up to be like, is this camera right? That looks better. But yet, just because someone's making a joke, that doesn't excuse them from being from holding them accountable for what they said. So I'm not going to treat this video as like, well, Plain Jane was just joking, and that's why it's okay. I think that's I don't think it's an intelligent argument, so I want to push back further from that. And here are my qualifications. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I don't have any qualifications. I don't know anything. But that also doesn't stop anybody from just sharing their opinion on the internet, and I hate that. I feel like every day I'm going on the internet and there's just some random homosexual being like, so this is why Dua Lipa's marketing team is really fumbling the ball. And I'm like, okay, Brian, I don't know what you're talking about. You also don't know what you're talking about. At least I'm honest. I don't care if you don't know what you're talking about. Just be honest that you don't know what you're talking about. Whatever. Part 1.
Cisgender, cis
I'm also drinking. I made Shirley Temples with vodka. So the first argument that people... I need a fidget toy. Hold up. So the first argument that people have about Plain Jane is they're like, she's mean. Aw, Plain Jane's mean. And like, yeah, Plain Jane was mean.
Ты поросенок, ты уродка, и ты красавица.
She was very mean.
I'm immediately looking at like these three queens and thinking, okay, this is the Brick Squad.
Plain Jane was really mean to one particular queen called a mandatory meaning.
You are a girl from the cast that I have not really connected with.
Yes.
Look-wise.
Wait.
I hope that you're able to sort of sway my opinion on how you've been looking, which is not very great. It's no tea. It's no tea. Like,
And I don't like, even though I am very much I love Plain Jane. I'm a stan of Plain. Plain was mean to Amanda.
I think Amanda's drag looked hideous. I'm so sorry to the Drag Race audience for having to witness such a goblin.
And also, like, I'm only viewing her from her season. Like, I don't know these people personally. Like, I'm psychoanalyzing, like, pseudo-celebrities that I've never encountered. So, like, okay. But, and it happened, like, years ago. Because, like, the season released last year. But, like, it was probably filmed a year prior. So, like, I'm also talking about, like, the emotional state of people recorded years ago. So, I don't know. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. But, yeah, Plain was mean to Amanda. But, like... Bianca Del Rio, who won season 6 of Drag Race, she's also mean. She's an insult comic. So, like, the fans don't just hate somebody because they are mean. There has to be other things at play, right? Otherwise, people would hate Bianca, but she's the most followed queen who won their original season of a Drag Race season. So, like, that's not a complete argument. People actually enjoy meanness. Granted, okay, Bianca was also shown in a kind light. Like, she did make fun of people, but she was shown as, like, she helped a lot of queens, and that kind of showed how kind she was. And I don't think Plain was very kind.
I have never seen a corset add weight to somebody. You better work, bitch.
But also, like, who needs to be kind on a reality show? Whatever, we'll get there. But I bring up Bianca to say that, like, you can be mean and people will still enjoy it. It just depends on how the meanness is showcased by the show. Like, meanness is sacred, okay? Oh, God. How do I say this without sounding pretentious? I'm gonna sound pretentious. So, like, for something to be sacred, it originally meant that it was something that happened inside the temple. It was something that was, like, set aside for separate use. So, like, example, murder, right? Don't do a murder. Don't murder. Don't do that. Hey, divas, whoever's watching, friendly reminder that murdering isn't that fierce. But what about sacrificing somebody inside the temple for whatever god? Then that becomes a sacred murder, right? Or like sex. Sex is sacred. When it's done outside the marriage, that's a sin. But when it's done inside the marriage, that's sacred sex. I think a more contemporary example is like lying to your child about Santa Claus. Like, lying is bad. Don't do a lie. But telling your child that Santa Claus is real would be considered a sacred lie. And people actually enjoy that lie. It's actually really fun to keep this lie going to help people, children, but like help people enjoy a sense of whimsy. I bring this up to, I think meanness is also sacred, especially on Drag Race. We'll get there. But meanness is something that is really enjoyed, but only in specific circumstances, when it's done inside the temple, inside a specific boundary. I want to do a tier ranking. Future John, tier ranking, slay. Hey divas, different day, same dress. Okay, that's tier rank. Oh God, how do I record my screen? I don't know how to record my screen. So I wanted to tier rank basically the sanctity of meanness, okay? Basically, S tier means sacred. S means, okay, there's a little ad, fuck off. S tier means sacred meanness. It means whatever happens, you're allowed to be as mean as possible. to the other queens, and then going down the list is when this space becomes less and less sacred, where D tier is like, don't be mean on this. So let's start in S tier. Honestly, there's a couple in S tier. The main one is the reading challenge, okay? The reading challenge is a sacred mean space, okay? It is designed for you to be mean. If you get, like, upset by what someone says in the reading challenge, it's like, well, girl, what are you doing? Girl, what are we doing? We're also gonna add there who should go home tonight and why. Insert clip of Lux Noir London.
And I think that Lucy's drag is a little on the more generic side.
I love Lux Noir London. I love Mistress Isabel Brooks. I love villains. Again, this is a specific time where RuPaul is encouraging you. He's saying, hey, tell me mean stuff about the other girls. So to me, those are, at least at this present point in Drag Race, those are the most sacred mean spaces. It's where meanness is celebrated, okay? Going down right below it, we're gonna have, I guess these are kind of the same, but it's like Snatch Game and improv challenges. They're kind of the same thing. Basically, in Snatch Game and improv, you can make fun of the other queens. You can make fun of, like, ideas of, like, celebrities and stuff. Like, you can... Oh, wait, the roast should also be an S tier. Wait. Let's get this roast a-cooking. Okay, wait, adding it really quick. Also adding the roast to S tier, because that's an S tier moment. But yeah, A tier would be like improv challenges or comedy challenges. You can be mean in those, but like, you can't bulldoze over other queens, right? You can't continually pick at a queen in the Snatch Game, or else it'll raise some eyebrows. Below that, we're gonna put Talking Heads and Untucked, okay? Those two are like, I don't know, when people watch the show, they want you to be shady in your little talking head, and they want you to be shady and untucked. That's why people tune into those parts of the show. But it's one of those places where it's like, you can be shady, but not too shady. Like, come on, it's like, people don't like that. And then in C tier, we're gonna put the workroom. In the workroom, people don't want you to be that mean anymore. I think it used to be different. A lot of early seasons of Drag Race was like Wild West, but like, I'm talking about more contemporary audience viewing. And like, I think people view the challenges as like you putting on a character, but then once you're in the workroom, you're supposed to be like, your real self, if that makes sense. So like, if someone is shady or says a little mean thing in the workroom, to like audiences, people are like, oh, well, that queen just really showed who she really is. Because to them, the workroom has a different context. We all exist in a context. Do you think you fell out of a coconut tree? And then D tier. We have the main stage, where like, I think Who Should Go Home Tonight and Why is on the main stage. They want you to like say why you hate these other queens. Outside of that, making fun of other queens or being mean to other queens on the main stage is really distasteful. Where like in the workroom, it's like, oh, well, that's showing that your personality is shady if you're mean in the workroom. If you are mean on the main stage, it just comes across as tacky. It comes across as desperate. It's like, mama, what are you doing? I'm realizing that Alexis Michelle has done all of these wrong. She got mad at the roast. She also got mad at the reading challenge. She continually ratted on people on the main stage. Alexis Michelle, she's kind of honestly, like, I stan. Anyway, that's the tier ranking of the sanctity of meanness. Okay, back to it. Tier ranking back. So I think there's a reason for the sanctity of meanness, to sanction off meanness, for two reasons on the show. The first reason, which is more boring, is that if you sanction off meanness on the show, it says, hey, divas, if you're a drag queen who was made fun of during this sanctioned area of meanness, you can't get your feelings hurt, right? Or you're Alexis Michelle. So, like, the first reason that it is sanctioned is for the queens. It's for the queens actually competing in the game of Drag Race. And I don't find that interesting. I don't really talk about that. But what I find is more interesting is that I think the producers and Drag Race has sanctioned off meanness for the fans. And that's the second big reason. Meanness is sanctioned off on the show subconsciously so that the fans can have a more orderly approach to meanness on the show. Because we love meanness. Being mean is fun. It's fun to be mean. But also, feelings get hurt. But, like, reality TV is this weird liminal zone, right? Like, it's not quite real, it's not quite fantasy. Like, we know that a lot of it is produced, and a lot of these queens are, like, amping it up for the camera, but we just sort of pretend that it's... I guess some people really do buy into the fantasy because, like, I don't know, people don't normally get mad at people who, like, portray mean people in fantasy. Well, Mama, get into this. Okay, so do you know the franchise? I promise this is about Drag Race. Do you know... I'm gonna get to Plain Jane in just... I feel like I've been talking for, like, so long about not Plain Jane related things, and the whole video is about Plain Jane. Whatever. You know 13 Reasons Why? So basically, there's this person named Justin Prentice. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he portrayed a bully. Not even a bully. Someone named Bryce Walker on 13 Reasons Why, who is an RAP-ist. And, like, you're supposed to hate Bryce Walker, this character who, like, did that to... I don't want to say because of YouTube guidelines, but, like, you should feel hate and animosity towards this character, right? Like, that's the point. But Diva Justin, who plays this character, he got so much hate. It was crazy. I know this is like an outdated reference, but whatever. The actor, received a lot of hate mail and a lot of hate comments and, like, death threats, which, like, death threats on the internet are a dime a dozen, but whatever. But, like, he received it for playing a bully. And not even a bully, but like a horrible human being. And I bring him up because even in regular fantasy, in a show like 13 Reasons Why, when someone is mean or does immoral actions, does reprehensible actions, viewers still find it difficult to separate themselves from what happened. And I think that sort of happened in Drag Race. Bring it back to Plain Jane. Like, Drag Race is this, like, kind of fantasy, kind of real life. So, like, it's already difficult. This parasocial relationship people have with bullies in media, they also have this, like, add that to the difficulty of reality TV, where it exists in this in-between zone where, like, it's kind of fantasy, but kind of not, you know? Let's bring it back to Plain Jane. I've been recording for, like, okay, it's been a lot of minutes. To bring it back to Plain Jane was mean to Amanda. I love Plain. I'm a Plain defender. I'm a stan. I'm making a whole video. Oh, can I bleep that? I'll bleep it. I've made a whole video, this one right here, on Plain Jane. I've spent countless hours consuming media of Plain Jane. I'm a stan. She was mean to Amanda. Like, you have to concede. But also, a lot of the pity that Amanda got was really shady. Like, there were a lot of queens or a lot of fans who were like, yeah, Amanda's ugly, yeah, her makeup's busted, yeah, she's inexperienced and she's untalented and her looks are bad, but we love her because she's very endearing. That's shadier than anything Amanda did. Nope, anything Plain did. Let's bring it back. Wake it up. I don't know. I also, like, I don't want to, like, defend the validity of Amanda's drag, whatever that means. Because, like, I have a friend who, like, came up around the same time as Amanda in LA. And she actually worked on some of Amanda's costumes that she was gonna wear on Drag Race but wasn't able to. And she says Amanda is really nice, really fierce, really slay. So, like, I think Amanda's very talented. She's a talented queen. I think she should have won the lip sync that she did against Q. So I don't want to waste time, like, because I'm going to spend a lot of the time of this video using Amanda as a reference point, and that reference point is going to be an inexperienced, non-capable queen. And I feel bad because of that, because that's not necessarily who she is, that's just sort of how she was represented and painted and accepted by the fans for a piece of media she filmed like 3 years ago. Honestly, go follow her. We're gonna go follow Amanda. Everybody log on to Instagram right now. Go follow her. She's fierce. I love Amanda. But I'm going to concede this. I think that there was like a yin and yang, like this person versus this person. There was like a fight set up between Plain and Amanda. And I think that Plain was kind of painted as a very poised, a very cold, a very intelligent, a very experienced, glamorous, gorgeous, put together queen who was very mean. And she was kind of painted as this opposition to Amanda. And Amanda was sort of like painted as this like very warm, very like inexperienced, but like big-eyed, bushy-tailed, very, you know, very endearing. And it was this sort of like back and forth where like Plain was painted as this archetype, and then Amanda was painted as this archetype. And there's this, oh wait, my screen froze. What the fuck? Okay. And so we're back. There's this thing, I was a film student. I have 4 years. I was a bachelor, 4 years. Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I have a degree in film and media studies. There's this term called media enmeshment that actually I invented. It's actually not revolutionary. It's just, okay. Media enmeshment means when you're consuming a piece of media, you start to identify as the persona of the person in the media. Like when you're watching a movie and it like follows one main character, you don't just relate to them, you feel like you are them to a subconscious level. Because like the camera, like that's the eye, you know? And like the lens becomes your eye as you're watching the film. So like you start to feel like the person in the media. And if there's one main character, you enmesh with one main character. It's what makes romance novels so successful. Or horror. Like when you're reading a romance novel, okay? It's not like voyeurism. You're not like watching. It's not like you're watching somebody get dicked down by Sasquatch. You're imagining yourself getting dicked down by Sasquatch. You enmesh with them. Or like in horror, that's what makes it so scary. You feel like you're going to die by the killer. It's not just you watching them. When you're consuming a piece of media, you feel like that person. And if there's multiple characters, you usually identify with the one that resonates with you the most. But I bring this up to say that like when we were watching Drag Race, we enmeshed with Amanda. It's what makes there's compassionate cringe and there is contemptuous cringe, okay? Contemptuous cringe is when you watch an American Idol audition and you're laughing and making fun of them the entire time. That's contemptuous cringe. Compassionate cringe is when you watch Jennifer Lawrence fall down the stairs and you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad with her. You recognize yourself in the other. And we, I think, cringed compassionately with Amanda. We as viewers watched Amanda and we were like, oh no, she looks bad. Aww. Instead of being like, Plain was cringing contemptuously. She was like, that bitch looked ugly. But we're like, but she looks bad, but she's so like, she has so much potential. I think that's how we viewed Amanda. And I think it's because all of us feel like Amanda, you know? Every single person, we are anxious that somebody who's prettier, more talented, more successful is going to find all of our flaws and make fun of them and belittle us for them. All of us feel like we're Amanda and we're worried that a Plain is going to make fun of us. And Plain isn't kind. Like Bianca Del Rio, she would make fun of you, but then she would go back and make sure she would help you. Plain didn't help anybody. And then add on top of that the sanctity of meanness. We enmeshed with Amanda, so whenever Plain made fun of Amanda, we internalized it at a certain level subconsciously, because that's what empathy is, that she was attacking us personally. Then add on top of that the sanctity of meanness in the Drag Race sphere, and we felt like she was mean to us in a time where you were not able to be mean to us. In a less pretentious way, Shane Dawson, in a less pretentious way, Plain was mean to somebody that the audience related to. And because a Plain crossed a social boundary, the sanctity of meanness and did it to somebody that we liked, that we enmeshed with, that we compassionately cringed with. We got mad. I was mad. I was like, I love Plane. I really love Plane, okay? The only time I was ever really mad at Plane, at anything Plane has done, was how she treated Amanda. But also, like, I disagree. Emotionally, I have one response, and that is, I'm mad that Plane did this. Intellectually, I disagree with this whole sanctity of meanness bullshit. Why can you be mean in a challenge, but you can't be mean in the workroom? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why do we get mad at somebody making fun of somebody's drag in the workroom, but we don't get mad when someone tells fat jokes in a roast? And, like, sometimes fat jokes are funny. That's a good idea. I want to make funny fat jokes. Clock that video. But it's like, people can make fat jokes and weaponize this bigotry in a challenge, and we as viewers don't get mad at that. But when someone is making fun of somebody's drag in the workroom, we get enraged. Make it make sense. Well, I'm trying to make it make sense, but I'm just saying, this is a double standard that I do not think is valid. I don't think this is a valid double standard. Because, like, mama, this is Drag Race. This is a television show made for entertainment. Viewing this as real life is crazy. All of these people, these are drag queens. These people have personality disorders, and we expect them to be normal, functioning human beings. We expect them to, like, one day they're like, nobody knows me, local queen. The next day they're influencers. Why do we expect that of them? I don't think that's fair. Let the drag queens be drag queens. Ugh. Wait, I gotta get my cherry. These cherries taste like shit. When Jesus was fabulous and sucked me all night. I spent the first part analyzing media, and this part I'm going to try and psychoanalyze Plain Jane. Media analysis or psychoanalysis? Which one is more pretentious? I don't know. And I feel like I need to say this again. I'm not qualified. I am unqualified. I don't have any credentials to back up what I'm saying. I just like to read philosophy and psychoanalysis bullshit. I don't know what I'm talking about, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But also, I think I'm right. Everybody thinks they're right. I think I have a point of view, but I understand how biased it is. I formed a lot of my opinions after the Maddie Morphosis show, the Give It To Me Straight, which Maddie is that queen. She is so father.
Daddy's little girl. Daddy's little girl.
And that was sort of like the genesis of when I really, like, I loved Plain Jane on her season. I was pissed on how she treated Amanda. But then after Amanda left, like, I spent weeks after week after week watching Plain Jane not interact with Amanda. So, like, I felt less animosity towards her. But I really formulated my opinions after watching Metamorphosis show, and for the past, like, months, I've just, like, been so interested and fascinated with her and her psyche, because she's sort of like, she paints such a cold face on, but at least to me, I feel like she kind of carries her heart on her sleeve, or whatever, her emotions on her sleeves, whatever the shit is. So in my parasocial relationship with Plain Jane, I feel like I understand her psychology. I don't know, I feel like a good place to start is this Hey Queen moment.
When your mom first saw you in drag, she gave a Plain Jane worthy reading to the entire show.
Oh, down.
She said that you and the other queens looked like big butt frogs on stage, hopping from lily pad to lily pad.
Where did you get that?
And she said that you looked like a thin beggar woman begging for dollars, and that any enjoyment was mitigated by the foul language she heard everywhere. And I said, now I know.
Literally word for word.
Where Plain Jane gets her shade assassin status from.
First of all, this is hilarious. It looked like a frog, what did she say? Jumping from lily pad to lily pad. But also, that's rude as hell. Plain's mom was like reading an entire franchise and making fun of a whole culture that she knew nothing about. But she's like, I'm not gagging. I mean, I'm gagging because of the smell. Like, bitch, do you bathe? It was so funny. I don't know. Is it rude? 1,000%. But it's very similar to Plain's humor. That's why I bring this up. Because Plain's mother's humor is very similar to Plain's humor. And I think you can also bring in, like when Plain talks about her father, you can, like, okay.
I will say my dad, because my parents are truly such, like, typical, like, cold Russian parents, like, blunt. He texted me after Snatch Game episode, and he was like, good impersonation. Terrible dancing on runway. He also asked me, like, which episodes he can skip, because I understand that it's probably a painful process for him watching. So he's like, does anything interesting happen this episode? Can I skip it? I'm like, yeah, you can skip it.
I think it's great that Plain's father is supportive and wanting to watch the media that his son is in. But also, that's cold to be like, do I have to watch this episode? Like, that is cold. That's the end of my notes, so now I have to go read my essay while I finish this. Did I delete it? Okay, I pulled up my essay, so I'm gonna finish. How people reacted to Plain and... Okay, let's bring it back. Plain's humor is Slavic. This is Slavic culture. This cold, cutting, deadpan, that's Slavic. There's a comment I saw, I don't know if I can find it, but someone was like, this is a Slavic woman. It's like, that's Slavic culture. And people didn't really realize that's, like, Plain Jane is she was born in the United States, but her parents fled communist Russia.
Your parents were Russian immigrants?
There was, like, a small little Russian Jewish community there.
What's a uniquely Russian activity?
Cutting wood with X. There was a lot of, we were taught to cook a lot of porridge. We cooked a lot of porridge.
So it's like she's first generation or whatever the phrase is. She's fresh off the boat or whatever. Yeah. And it reminded me of Nymphia Wind, where, like, she was the one, she won Plain Jane season 16. Spoiler. But yeah, Nymphia, she was so good, so talented. But every single episode, she would get in her head and be like, oh, guys, I don't know if I can do this. Oh, guys, well, I don't know if I'm really good at this. And then she's like, actually, I was in a K-pop girl group.
You're tricking Nymphia. She seems to always be saying she can't do something and then all of a sudden just doing it.
She kept downplaying her strengths and getting so in her head. And people were mad. People were mad at her. They were like, Nymphia Wind is doing strategy, or Nymphia Wind is trying to garner sympathy with the other girls. And that's kind of how I felt too. But then I started reading comments, and they were like, this is just Asian culture, or this is just immigrant culture. And I'm like, oh, that really put it into perspective. I don't want to talk about, like, I am a white man from the South. I am not somebody who can talk about race. I don't think that's me. But I just want to bring it up to say that, like, to draw a comparison, that people got really confused, at least American viewers, got really confused with how Nymphia Wind was portraying herself on the show, when in reality, she was just exhibiting behavior that is normal in her culture. Same thing with Plain. I think that Nymphia Wind's behavior wasn't necessarily antagonistic, where Plain's behavior was very antagonistic, but I think both of their behavior just came from their culture. And again, you can be like, well, I disagree with that. Like, I don't think that just because that's their culture, that should excuse their behavior. And I think that's a fair argument, I guess. Like, I'm not a moral relativist. I do think that there are some things that are like, this is how you should act, I guess. But when it comes to certain social norms, like humor when it comes to Plain, or like your inner saboteur when it comes to Nymphia, I don't think that that's a moral argument. I don't know. I think it's like the morals of Plain's culture and the morals of Nymphia's culture are different than the morals of American culture. And I think that makes it interesting. I don't think that's something you can be upset about. I don't know, I went off at a tangent, but to bring it back to Plain, I would like to say that, like, I grew up in the South, so really normal to be, like, overly generous, overly kind, try and be as nice and as amicable and as customer service as you can. That's not Slavic culture. I took a Russian class. My last name is Marx. John Marx is my name. I'm obsessed with Russian culture. That's not Russia. That's not how Russians are. Russians are not nice. Plain is Russian. She's not nice. Whatever. Look at how her snatch game that she won. She played Yelena Karlyushka? I don't know. She did this.
Plain is hilarious. She is really weaponizing her Slavic upbringing.
Jelena and I used to date back in the day.
No, it's not true. You are a very ugly man. I would never touch it.
And she won. She won the challenge. And like the humor was essentially just the jokes that Plain normally does. She just kind of like put on an accent and acted like she was on Ambien, and she's like, let's go. And then she was rewarded for it because it was in Snatch Game, and then it was in the Sanctity of Meanness, callback to earlier in the video. But like, if Plain doesn't like something, she's gonna be a Slavic bitch and tell you that she doesn't like it. Because that's how they are. That's how Slavic people are. I don't think that we should expect our drag queens to be influencers. They're not. They're drag queens. Anyway, I'm very biased, obviously. And like, Plain's humor is very cutting, is very deadpan, it's making fun of another. And I think you can make an argument that that sort of humor isn't socially acceptable, but I don't think it's a good argument because that's the nature of humor. Humor at the expense of others is the nature of humor, and sort of just expecting for that to no longer be a thing is naive. It's stupid. It's wrong. Humor is transgressive, and non-transgressive humor feels stale and unfunny. It's like this clip of Trixie talking about queer humor.
I will say, gay people, we talk to each other in a way that straight people would find shocking.
That we've earned it.
I f***ing love your axe wound, you whore. Aww. You know what I mean? Like, and straight people would be like, what?
Straight people find like our humor ridiculous and also too much. But humor is cultural, and Slavic humor culturally is cutting and deadpan. Now, cutting humor can be aggressive cutting, which is like cutting, but also can be self-deprecating, cutting internally. You can like make very deplorable or self-deprecating jokes about yourself that are equally as cutting, but Plain doesn't do that. She never makes fun of herself. It's always other people. She'll make a fool out of herself.
You take away the message, and what is your talent? Holding up posters? Girl, protect queer art, but is she giving us anything worth protecting? That's the question.
But making a fool out of yourself isn't the same as making fun of yourself. And to me, that's when it gets interesting. Because like someone like Trixie Mattel, she is the most famous queen off RuPaul's Drag Race, and she loves to make self-deprecating humor.
I lost Drag Race like 12 times. It's fine.
But then you did win.
Well, yes.
By default. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, what was I talking about?
But I think that Trixie is essentially capitalizing on self-deprecation to make herself more relatable. Which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know. I don't disagree with that idea. She's just constantly painting herself as like an underdog or an outsider. Or Bianca. Bianca will always attack and make fun of other people, but she'll also make occasionally stupid jokes about herself.
Tux gave me the number for a doctor to get my toes pumped because actually this spring I will be sporting some Plumpalicious feet in some open toe shoes. Because I don't know if you know this, it's all on trend. And the idea here is that there's nothing prettier than an open toe shoe on a big man hoof.
But Plain doesn't do that. I've been following Plain like obsessively, parasocially, for years.
It's kind of gaggy that I was serving opulence tonight at a level that far exceeded everybody else in the room. Like, I felt so...
You plagiarize me.
I felt so overdressed for the occasion. It's insane. Like, can we just... Like, the train was annoying as fuck.
For the past couple months, I've been looking at everything I could find of Plain, and she does not make self-deprecating jokes. It's always a joke at someone else's expense. And you can make an argument that always making fun of other people is reprehensible behavior, and it's inherently mean, but Plain's jokes to me always come across as like kind of incoherent ramblings.
Do you have like a weird talent you could have done?
I can lick my own
I think we're done.
I don't know, there's always just so stupid, and it's never that deep. But also, like, I've never been at the receiving end of Plain's jokes, so I don't know how that feels. But, like, it's not like she's weaponizing bigotry to make fun of another person. That would be, to me, that's crossing a moral line. Okay, listen to this clip about what she says about Bob.
As much as we all agree that Burger Finger is the smash hit of the century,
absolutely,
it was a lot of feelings for Burger.
I see what you mean. I just feel like Bob had a lot of feelings for Burger. It was just so it like mimicked the opinions of like hating ass bitches.
This is very stupid, but also very funny. The humor is rooted in a genuine emotional place, like a genuine like ego wound, but she's kind of weaponizing her distress at Bob's expense. And she doesn't deliver it in a she delivers it in a serious manner, but the seriousness kind of takes a 180 and becomes non-serious. It's just deadpan. To me, everything Plain does is lighthearted. Well, except for how she treated Amanda. We're getting there. I don't think that was lighthearted. I think she was attempting to put Amanda down, but was trying to do it in a joking manner, and then Amanda fought back from a serious place, and then Plain thought it was just playful banter, but Amanda didn't get the memo. We'll get there. Okay, but I was watching a podcast of Plain and Crystal Versace. She's the winner of UK Season 3. And Plain is literally a stan.
But today, honey, it's giving brick Versace. Well, you know, I'm such a big fan of the girls, and I'm such a big fan of each of you girls individually. So, you know, it's really a dream come true getting to sit here.
Also, her name is Plain. Plain. Plane. Like the aircraft. That's a jester. She is a court jester. She is a fool. I don't know. Back to it. Let me be clear. I love Crystal Versace, but I think it's telling that the person that Plain loves is a bodied out, fierce performance diva. And like another person that she loves is Morphine. A bodied out, fierce performance diva.
Morphine was somebody that I admired and respected before the show, and then once we got on the show together, it was kind of surreal for me. And as we continued to do the show together, my respect for her waned and subsided until I fully just saw her for who she was, which is an incompetent clown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sort of took a sharp turn right there in there.
Look at how this like moment of vulnerability just kind of melts into pure comedy and absurdity. She just can't be serious. She has such a wall built up, and that makes sense if you grew up gay and artsy in a Jewish Russian community in Boston from a family that immigrated to the United States from communist Russia. I'm going to make a bold claim, and I want to read it out exactly because I don't want to get this. It's bold, but I think I'm right. Plain is incredibly insecure and projects her own insecurities onto others through comedy to cope. Okay, in her What Chapakin with Michelle, she talked about how she started to do drag.
Because I was always obsessed with like the girls who just had amazing beats on Drag Race. You know, my first face love was actually Raven. I sat in my room for a year, you know, practicing my makeup. And then I finally got the courage and the, you know, materials to leave the house and enter the drag scene, the local drag scene. And once I came out, I kind of looked around and I was like, I feel like I'm at a point where I kind of look better than all these bitches.
She was so concerned with looking good. And I'm like, okay, why are you concerned with looking good? Well, it's telling because then once you look good and you go out into public, you then start making fun of people who look worse than you. She was worried that other people would treat her like how she treats other people. She uses reading and making fun of people as a defense mechanism. I was really confused with why she idolized like beautiful performance queens but made like stupid humor. Like in my brain, I'm like, well, wouldn't you idolize the person you want to be? And I think that is what she wants to be. Because like people were like comparing her to Jimbo, another drag queen, and they, at the surface level they look very similar, but they are different. I think Jimbo uses the like overt sexuality as like an extension of the comedy. But to me, when I see Plain, I see somebody who has kind of like created two bipolar entities inside her. Inside yourself, there are two wolves. One is a sexy Russian bimbo performance whore. And then the other one is just like a clown who can't take anything seriously. Because I think that Plain idolizes this sort of drag, but doesn't commit to it seriously. And I think that's a defense mechanism because there's a lot of people who think they're serving who really aren't. Insert Joella. Maybe this is me projecting like my own psyche onto Plain, but like again, I'm not qualified. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like and subscribe. But I think she uses stupidity and comedy as a shield because she thinks she'll never be good enough to be like the pretty girls. I think that Plain thinks that if she tries to commit to this style of glamorous drag, people will make fun of her, especially at the beginning, because she is trying it out like she did to other people. Plain has an Amanda inside of her. She's deeply insecure like all of us. She wants to be like a Morphine or a Crystal, but believes that she can't. If she's a comedian, if she's a court jester, if she's a clown, she always gets to be in charge of the jokes. To be a comedian is to never let your guard down. There's always like a tongue-in-cheek moment. So because of that, genuine criticism won't ever pierce your heart. If you're never completely genuine, then you're never completely vulnerable. If you're never completely vulnerable, then no one can ever truly hurt you. That was like a big criticism people had about Plain in the finale of season 16. She didn't let her guard down. Insert clip of Bob and Monet.
Also, did you see Plain Jane said about me on
No, I didn't see it. You didn't say this to me.
Plain Jane on Maddie Morpheus' show was like, I was the reason she started doing drag. But it's not because she was inspired by me. It's because she went to the season 8 premiere, and then I asked her a question in the audience. I was like, you, 18-year-old Jewish kid, what was the song that Naysha Lopez was sent home to? And then she was like, Call Me? And I was like, correct. And I gave her a signed picture of Chi Chi DeVayne. She goes, and in that moment, the way that Bob looked at me like I was nothing, like I was just an audience member, like I was just a prop and she was the star. I was like, I was the star. And you were an audience member.
Plain wants to have all the power and the last say. I think her humor is a control thing. So when it comes to Amanda, I don't actually think she hated Amanda. I think she hated the version of herself that she saw reflected in Amanda, like what we saw as viewers. Because we as viewers cringed compassionately, Plain viewed Amanda and cringed contemptuously. A lot of her hate from Amanda came from self-hatred and cringe. To cringe at somebody is either A, vicarious embarrassment, or B, feel the embarrassment they ought to feel. Contemptuous versus compassionate. You cringe when someone breaks an unwritten social rule, or when you see yourself reflected in other. Plain believes that you have to be fierce, dolled out, diva, put together to be out in public. That's why she spent a full year practicing makeup before she went out in public. It was insecurity. She couldn't let her guard down. To me, I think Plain feared that she looked like Amanda. I think she believes on some deep level that she's an Amanda in an abstract sense. The way she treated Amanda is the way that I think she treats herself. She tried to stomp out any trace of Amanda that she saw in the actual person.
You aren't strong enough, you aren't brave enough, you aren't funny, you will flop, you will fail.
Fold it. Now tear it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
But no fucking thank you.
There we go. There it is. It's gone.
Also, I feel like I should do another disclaimer. I'm so sorry, Amanda. You're not watching this, Amanda. I'm so sorry. I think you are really fierce. I don't think you're incompetent. I don't think you're like, you are very capable. You are very powerful. You were very good at drag. I think just when it came to like, you were represented as rough around the edges. And then to create a better narrative, it was really like put forward. You know, like the production team really amped it up for the viewers to make a storyline. So like, I'm not talking about you. I'm honestly not even talking about Plain. I'm talking about a heavily curated version of Amanda and Plain that I saw on TV years ago. Disclaimer over. I actually find Plain's behavior childish and malicious. But also like, okay, does this existence of her own insecurity excuse Plain's behavior? No, I don't think so. It's the only thing that Plain has done that really irks me is how she kept going after Amanda. Because she kept singling somebody out. While it was rooted in insecurity, it was actively malicious, even though it was unconsciously malicious. Essentially, Amanda's existence caused Plain to feel anxiety. The anxiety was that that Plain could be perceived as inept, as how she views Amanda. That anxiety was sublimated, that is like transformed into contemptuous cringe because for Plain to recognize the Amanda within would wound her ego and her perception of what her persona is. So, to regulate her emotions, instead of dealing with them internally, she tried to stomp out the part of herself that she saw reflected in Amanda. And I find that selfish. I don't find it mean. I find it selfish. I just think that explaining it seeks to give her humanity. We all cringe at others because we see ourselves reflected in others. We're all selfish. Get off your high horse. You're not better than anybody else. If you cringe at someone, it's because you see yourself reflected in them. You are no different than Plain. Maybe you didn't say it to the lol cow's face, but you definitely said it behind their back. And arguably that makes it worse. Gossiping is maybe worse. At least Plain said it to her face. It's not like she was going behind Amanda's back all the time. That would be cowardly. But yet you talk about people you cringe at to regulate your own emotions. It's not inherently mean, but I do think it is selfish. Selfish because you think that your emotional state is more important than others. But like, these are drag queens. They're all mentally ill. Diva, they all have complexes. They're all dealing with it. I don't know. It's like, mama, this is TV. Mama, get over yourself.
Mama, this is garbage.
People get really invested with drag queens and Drag Race and everybody from the show. And like, I get it because like, to us queer people, these queens are Hollywood. They are our celebrities and we worship them as saints. but they aren't uber celebrities. They're like not even normal celebrities in like everyday circumstances. I think because they look so glamorous and because we think about them all the time and they look so polished, we think they have all the money and all the power, but they really don't. Drag queens are like F-tier celebrities. I think every once in a while you get like a Trixie Mattel or a Katya, and they're like C-tier, but like, mama, the amount of hate these people receive from the fans is wildly disproportionate to the actual power that they wield. The Drag Race mob, the Drag Race fan mob, has more power than the queens themselves. Drag queens aren't like Marvel heroes with teams of lawyers. And like, if you're mad that Plain bullied Amanda, in quotes, why not like donate your money to like a charity that helps people who were bullied? Or like, why don't you make a video about why you think Amanda was bullied? Do that. I don't know. And I don't care. Plain is a polarizing figure. And if you don't like her, that's fine. Most people don't like most things. But I really enjoy her regardless of her flaws because she's unfiltered and she's hilarious. If you feel like Amanda is a victim, buy her merch. Support her. Don't send Plain hate. That doesn't help Amanda. That just makes Plain a victim. It's not like Plain is using slurs. It's not like Plain is weaponizing bigotry to attack somebody. It's not that serious. Mama, this is TV. To me, unless you're bigoted, anything you say is fair game. I think Drag Race is like a perpetual roast challenge. Make fun of people. Make fun of people and make good TV. It's reality television. This is gutter trash. It's drag. I think that's everything. Plain, if you're watching this video, hey! I clearly have an unhealthy attachment to my perception of your persona that is portrayed to me by algorithms. But I also think you're really kind. I think your fears, I'm sorry that I like heated up tea that from like 3 years ago when you filmed, but I think you're great. What else? Oh, I have an album out called Cisgender Jesus. Please listen to it. It's slay. Yeah. Oh, here's my Venmo. I need to pay rent. Please send me money. Times are tough. Thank you. Okay, bye. That was my video.